Thanks for joining us here on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. It is Thursday, August 7th. Tonight, going in depth on Super Scooper aircraft, learning about their capabilities, what makes them so unique. Talk to the CEO of one of their companies coming up in just a few minutes. But first, meteorologist Sean Kelly here with our first alert forecast. Hot, dry, windy. We have a new fire that sparked up much earlier today and has kind of gotten a lot of attention today in the eastern portion of Utah. And it's definitely dry everywhere. I don't think it's really, there's no real exemption to anything here in the state. Yeah. As clearly outlined by this map.
Right. It's just, we are cooler today.
Which is interesting because
Chase and I were just talking. I didn't want to call.
The one spot on the map is where the new fire is right. As an ignition source.
Yes, unfortunately, but you know, this time of the year, we don't issue. I know you don't. I just think I will make a comment on that. But this is the type of the year that we deal with these warnings and we deal with this wildfire threat here. We have no rain in the forecast. So even with the lack of winds, when we start to see some lighter winds, that fire threat will still be lingering. Even without warnings, that fire threat will still be lingering. But yes, it's high. Can we get that shot right here? Looking across the state here. This will continue for much of the day today. And you'll see that the humidity will remain on the low side. The humidity has been less than 10% here across the state each and every day, and that's going to continue to be a thing that we've got to deal with. And those winds whipping in out of the south-southwest up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour up northward into the Evanston area and then back down towards Hanksville. So we've got the wind, we've got the drought, we've got the low humidity and the hot temperatures. The only good thing about today right now is we've got a cold front already moving through, and that's reflected on the wind direction out of the north and also the cooler temperatures. We're about 8 degrees cooler right now from yesterday at this time. And you'll see your hour-by-hour forecast dipping down into the 60s and 70s here. Coming up, though, in my first alert weather forecast, we've got some big drop in the temperatures here, going from the 90s down to the 80s. We'll let you know how long this will last coming up in the next few minutes. Brian?
Sean, thank you. Bridger Aerospace out of Bozeman, Montana has 6 Super Scoopers and other important aircraft vital to aerial firefighting. You have likely seen them scooping out of a reservoir and dropping water directly onto a fire. Not what this very large air tanker is doing here. But they played a huge role in the Monroe Canyon Fire and responding to new wildfire starts, while the Scoopers have been here in Utah. I spoke. How do you get here? How does that happen where you're able to get here to work with firefighters on the ground in Utah?
Yeah, great question. We're asked this one a lot. Our scoopers are all listed on a federal contract with the Forest Service. All of the states that know that we're available, all the incident commanders that know that we're available, request us when things happen like what Utah is seeing right now, to specifically use our assets on the fires because of how effective they are. And we've seen the demand increase for them as they show up in a state like Utah, do their work, and people see how they can continuously scoop and drop water and drop hundreds of thousands of gallons of water in a day and help ground firefighters do their job. So a lot of times these states are ordering us up through the federal contracts. We've also been seeing a lot of tailwinds on setting up state level contracts with specifically our surveillance aircraft. And a little bit of headway has been made on the scooper side as well. But, you know, it's one set of orders that go through multiple agencies to depend on, to decide where our assets go. So when things happen like the Monroe Canyon Fire, where I think you're in a state of emergency there in Utah, or were, to have our scoopers positioned there. And I think we've been there 9 days to continue to help the effort, because it's the most important, one of the most important fires in the country right now.
Has your company had conversations with the state of Utah?
Yeah, we have in the past. I think we've gone to some call when needed contracts specifically for surveillance. Every year at the end of the year, we have state level conversations to try to problem solve where states need assets, because for Bridger specifically, we want to help neighbors and in the West where we're located really guarantee what assets are available. And for us, if it's guaranteed work, we can make it more affordable. We can be pre-positioned. We can be effective at what we do, which is what we care about. So we have those conversations regularly and go to a state foresters conference every year to have conversations about what we can put in place for states specifically, so they don't have to deal with any sort of federal constraints on asset scarcity.
How does your scooper differ from the other scoopers that are on the market or out there that are perhaps a little different, because you have what's coined the super scooper, but there are smaller single engine scooper planes that are also working that same fire here in Utah just in the last few days. How does yours differ from those?
Yeah, and I'll start off by saying we're out there with a lot of our other fellow operators, we call them, and I try to stay away from competitors. We're friendly with all these guys. Everybody is a tool in the toolbox. We're alongside retardant dropping planes, which form a perimeter for fires and slower divert the direction of fires. With a lot of the fixed wing aircraft that drop retardant, we're outside with helicopters that drop water in very concentrated areas, and single engine scoopers, which are nimble and quick and can get in and do some damage. But for us, the super scooper is the most effective in terms of it can operate nearly anywhere. We don't need a retardant base. We don't need to land and fill up with a hose. The planes are huge. I'm sure you've seen them in person. They weigh nearly 24 tons. They can need about an open mile of water to scoop, and they take about 10 to 12 seconds to fill up 1,400-gallon tanks. But the beauty of them is, depending on the turn time, which I think for the Monroe Canyon Fire, we're about 10 minutes away on our turns from the fire and the lake we're scooping out of. We can continuously scoop and drop on one full tank of fuel, so about a 4-hour cycle, and we can drop hundreds of thousands of gallons a day. Typically, they're flown in pairs, so just a very effective tool in putting out massive amounts of water. And the amount that we drop every load really maximizes thermal disruption, because it weighs about 12,000 pounds. So you can imagine, maybe not as much in Utah, but penetrating forest canopies, saturating fuel loads on the ground, and really suppressing the flames, either extinguishing them or slowing progression so the firefighters can get in and do their job. I mean, it's sad to see when anything happens that affects people, their homes, or threatens towns and communities. We're really happy to be a part of the effort there, and glad that Utah's been very progressive in dispatching assets. I think there was as many as 25 aviation assets on the fire. I think that, coupled with the heroic efforts of the ground crews, have really done a lot to prevent the encroachment of the fire on the town of Monroe, from what I've seen. And really, the expansion has been northward, which still threatens some structures, but it's been a very strong effort on the state of Utah's coordination with the federal government. So great there. I think in terms of what people are seeing in increased intensity and duration of wildfires, I will point to things that are drafted currently in legislation and an executive order that was signed that really focus on nationally putting in place standards of cover, response times, and pre-positioning of assets, so that fires are intercepted early when it matters in an initial attack scenario. And that's where our assets are really good at detecting and containing fires quickly and before they become something that's out of control. And so, for folks that see the devastation, realize that things are getting better and being managed more proactively, and things that aren't reported, like I think there was a little cottonwood fire just south of the Monroe Canyon Fire, was intercepted by ground teams, and we had 4 scoopers. We were with 2 other scoopers. We led the attack and put that fire out while it was 20 acres. And with the conditions that were prevalent at the time, it could have blown up into another major incident. So, people are doing their best. There's a lot to coordinate unfortunately, when you see conditions like you guys have in Utah right now.
Well, Sam is right. That little cottonwood fire wasn't reported, but I was aware of it on Friday when we were driving back north from the Monroe Canyon Fire, and I looked down and I saw that the fleet of scoopers actually diverted to help with initial attack on that fire. And great job by everyone involved keeping that small. And yes, something like that typically doesn't make the news. Well, down in central Utah, crews are making more progress on the Monroe Canyon Fire. And thanks to everybody's hard work, there's still 1,300 personnel working on this thing. The fire has increased containment as of this morning's update at 18%. The flames have burned more than 66,000 acres, including some cabins. That structure damage, last we checked, was 14, according to the sheriff in Sevier County. Special shout out to the night shift firefighters, some of which I have talked to over the course of the last few weeks, who have done a considerable amount of work on this fire, taking advantage of the cooler temperatures and the higher humidity at night, kind of working as a good backstop and cleanup work there overnight. And just last night, firefighters worked a finish line around the southern edge of the Box Creek area that actually flared up a few days ago, prompting firefighters to get out of the Spike Camp where 2 of the divisions were staying. Right now, again, 1,300 first responders working in conjunction on this fire from all across the country. And just hours ago, generators rolled out of Wayne County now that the transmission lines damaged in the Monroe Canyon Fire are fully repaired. Great work by the Garcane Energy Cooperative. Not as big and highly talked about unless you live in central Utah. You know what Garcane's all about, but they're a smaller energy cooperative. They had a really rough night at one point, but after completing the major repair in just one day, the power in Wayne County and surrounding areas went out again. The supply line was down for about an hour, but once crews found the source, everything was restored again. And I had a chance to talk to them earlier this week. If you're interested in that conversation, find it on our YouTube page. They did a great job. There have been more than 700 wildfires this summer in the state of Utah, including 3 new ones in the last 24 hours. In all, 1,000 acres. Investigators say 510 of them were human-caused. The largest fire of the season, as we know it, the Monroe Canyon Fire, still burning in central Utah. And most of those new fire starts we mentioned, for some reason, every single day here, a lot of them are kept so small at like 1/10 of an acre. Great to highlight the impressive work from our local firefighters all across the state, keeping most of our fires small. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, we'll take a look in Summit County, where a newly discovered fire in the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest has burned at least an estimated 200 acres in about 12 hours' time. Firefighters work an initial attack on the Beulah fire burning in the high Uintas. More help has been requested because that requires hands and ground and air resources. No containment yet. This thing just got going. Brian Malahy in eastern Utah in Summit County there showing us why the fire cause is under investigation.
How did the fire start up there in the wilderness near Forest Service land? A fire spokeswoman suggests the circumstances will trigger an investigation. This may fuel speculation the fire was caused by somebody, whether intentionally or not.
Did you notice any lightning in this area?
No, we had cloud cover last night, but there wasn't any lightning or any weather to speak of.
We've been working with DPS to identify there's no one in immediate danger at this time, and continuing to monitor the status of the fire as it grows and changes.
Close to 100 campers were told voluntarily evacuated. The woman we spoke to earlier, Summer Florence, said she was blocked from getting back to her camp. At one point, she felt that the choppers, the firefighting choppers, would make quick work of this fire, but at least at this point, despite best efforts, it doesn't seem to have happened. In eastern Utah, south of Evanston, Brian Malahy, KUTV 2 News.
To reiterate my comment from earlier, the entire state is basically under a fire alert, except for that area. And that just shows how anything can really happen this time of year with dry. I mean, I remember hearing Chase talk about the low relative humidity was what, about 10% in the area. You were having wind gusts in the mid 30s. That, to me, would almost qualify as something very similar to that red blotch on the map. I'm not a meteorologist, but I was quite surprised to see this little part of the state.
In their defense, it's going to be the.
I'm not calling them.
It's going to be some of the coldest.
I think it's interesting.
It's going to be some of the coldest temperatures in this state here, especially as we head into the overnight.
Sure.
The Uintas, they cool off the quickest.
It's
got high elevation.
Sounds refreshing.
I mean, they're going to be down 40s. 50s overnight.
Also, a lot of people up there this time of year taking advantage of the last little bit of summer before they go back to school, or you know, families doing camping trips, whatever. I mean, it's such a playground up there, and I hope everyone's favorite spots are still looking good after all this. I know that's not likely, but we'll keep that out there.
Well, this is not helping the drought situation, and of course the fire situation. If we could change this, that would really help out a lot. Unfortunately, I don't have good news with that. This cold front that is now moving through the state, it's not going to bring any relief from us in terms of rain, but it will bring some relief in the form of heat. You could see that we're under that extreme drought now, so this is continuing to worsen across the state, and this is where we really need some help here. And you can see the Uintas under that extreme drought. So we really need the moisture, not getting it right now. A little bit cloudy out there as that front is pushing in, but we're already down to lower 90s, so it's 5 degrees cooler than yesterday at this time. 91 in Delta, 92 in Milford, 105 in St. George. You can see those fire conditions, critical conditions for much of the state here. Tomorrow, though, low fire danger here up and down the Wasatch Front. It's going to be too cool. Also, the winds will be much lighter, but the winds will still be an issue down towards the south. So that'll continue to deal with at least those fire warnings down across the southern half of the state. You're already seeing that wind shift out of the northwest. That's an indication that the cold front is moving in, or at least just out ahead of it. And you can see out ahead of it, still dealing with some strong wind gusts near 30 to 35 miles per hour, but lighter than what we were dealing with just a few hours ago, where we had some 40 to 50 or 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. As we get into tomorrow morning, that front moves further down towards the south. The winds calm, but then the winds kick in once again, lighter up towards the north, stronger down towards the south, out ahead of the cold front. And then as we get into Saturday will be much nicer. Saturday is my pick of the week here. Cool temperatures in the morning and comfortable temperatures into the afternoon with lighter winds and lower fire threat. Why are we so windy here? The difference between the high and low pressure. Anytime these get close to each other in a short distance, that increases the pressure gradient, we call it. That increases the winds that go from high to low, by the way, and that ramps up those winds, increases the fire danger. As this low moves up towards the north and east, and this high moves out of here, we'll start to see some lighter winds, especially out behind the cold front. But for right now, we're stuck with the windy conditions and the cloudy skies that are starting to develop here along I-70 and out along the cold front as well. This will be a dry front that moves in, no moisture expected with it. You'll see the cloudy start tomorrow morning, then the afternoon sunshine as we make our way into the evening hours. Lows overnight down into the 60s, so nice and cool and comfortable. 80s tomorrow for highs. That's a big change there. It's something to look forward to. And then St. George, you're dealing with highs into the triple digits, so you're not going to see much, if any, relief from the heat. And then across the Wasatch Front, we're dealing with temperatures into the 80s here for 3 days. And then we're back to reality here, Brian, back into the 90s.
Thank you, Sean. Never left reality. I promise you that. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, how one man returns to his home, country of Tonga from the United States, with knowledge, experience, and a successful company to give back to his community. Fans of the famous film franchise that has captured generations now has a chance to own a part of the movie. Darth Vader's original lightsaber is up for auction. Piece of galactic history showcased in London, ahead of the sale in LA next month. Those are two different places where it's expected to fetch up to $3 million.
Ooh, $3 million. All right, the entire collection in auction includes more than 1,000 collectibles, from playful props to classic costumes. It's all up for grabs for those looking to claim a piece of movie magic.
The hum of construction echoes on the island of Lefuka in the Kingdom of Tonga's Hapai Island group, a huge difference to the normally quiet island.
Fuka returned to his home country this year from the United States, bringing his successful construction company with him.
With funding from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the team is building a much-needed seawall. The seawall will withstand tsunami waves, eradicate erosion, and beautify the beach. Residents of the island have been petitioning for the wall for years, calling Fuka a hero for taking on the challenge. It's pretty cool.
All right.
I'm very interested in the lightsaber.
Yeah, me too.
I'd love to see if it goes for $3 million.
Yeah, maybe $2 million. I'll do that.
We'll see you tomorrow night at 7.